Excuse me. Hey, is that going? Okay. Welcome, everyone.
Imagine a stranger knocks on your door one day and says, I'm a messenger of God. I've brought the message of peace and prosperity. I have no food and no shelter. Can you please let me in? And you let the stranger in out of the goodness of your heart. Then the stranger turns on you because you don't practice your faith the way he does. He rapes your daughter, sodomizes and kills your son, kills your husband, destroys your home and everything you've ever loved and believed in, and then kicks you out of your home. Except that this is not just a story. This is what has happened to Iranians for 47 years. If you think that what the U.S. is doing is waging war on Iran, you are sadly mistaken, because all they're doing is breaking us free from this decadent, evil regime that hides behind religion. This stranger has already knocked on your door. He's probably already sitting in your living room. If you don't wake up, your family, your loved ones, your country, your culture, everything you've ever loved and believed in will go through the same exact scenario as we did. It's time to wake up.
Yep. Hold on, I didn't get to the next video here. Trying to juggle several things here.
Today, Trump put out the message apparently to end all messages, and all it was a threat to the Iranian regime, and it was used in the way the Iranian regime has always spoken to America. They say pretty much every day, death to America. But whoa, if you imply death to the Iranian regime, it's like pearl clutching all over the place. I mean, it's a little ridiculous. Remember, Trump used the same tactic when he was speaking to little rocket boy over in North Korea, and it did work. So, everyone needs to stay patient, and the Iranian regime really needs to know that after 47 years, our patience has ended.
Yep. Hey, they're going back on their stuff already. All right, here's a little humor.
God is good. He's alive. Go get our boy. One American behind enemy lines. Wounded, surrounded. We bring him home.
Viper 1-2. Hang in there. We're coming.
Hey, John. Hey, John.
Coming in danger close. Keep your heads down.
Colonel, let's go home.
Package secure. Heading to extract.
Actually, pretty well made, I thought. Well, I'm going to start off with this to get some people in here a while. The news conference from this morning, the military one. Let me, I think about 7 minutes into it.
Years.
Oh, I was close.
Years.
Right.
Chants of death to America, targeting our people, killing Americans, lying and blackmailing their way toward a nuclear weapon, so they thought. No longer. Not on our watch. Other presidents marked time and kicked the can down the road. President Trump made history. From the strike that took out Qasem Soleimani, to tearing up the disastrous Obama-Iran deal, to the precision campaign that obliterated Iran's nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, to the decisive military victory we just achieved in Operation Epic Fury. No other president has shown the courage and resolve of this commander-in-chief.
Okay.
President Trump forged this moment. Iran begged for this ceasefire, and we all know it. As the President Truth this morning, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory on the battlefield. A capital V military victory. By any measure.
Yeah, John, Colin, all of you. I tried to go on LinkedIn. It's still not giving you a stream key to go live there. I tried. I showed it to who was I talking to? Tammy earlier today. I was showing her that it just won't let me do it. You know, it won't let anyone go live right now.
Epic fury decimated Iran's military and rendered it combat ineffective for years to come.
This is kind of the backup plan.
You see, in less than 40 days, one of our combatant commands, Central Command, CENTCOM, using less than 10% of America's total combat power, dismantled one of the world's largest militaries. The world's leading state sponsor of terrorism proved utterly incapable of defending itself, its people, or its...
Yeah, I'm going to be playing. It's getting worse. Yeah, it's hard to write. We're trying to rewrite their software. It's hard to do exactly, and then make it work with both Firefox and Chrome and all the other platforms. It's hard to do that. I know that the same thing happened over at Orbeez. They had trouble. Right now they're down, and they've been down for a month or so. Yeah. So I wanted to tell you that earlier today. I'm going to be playing from the Durka, talking about the Durka. They're starting to fight each other in Iran right now because the extremists are going against the middle of the road ones. I got to show you stuff about that.
Territory. We untied just...
The missiles are still going because the extremists are still sending them. They don't have control of all their people, and that's why it's happening.
A fraction of our strength, and Iran suffered a devastating military defeat. Together with our Israeli partners, America's military achieved every single objective on plan, on schedule, exactly as laid out from day one. Iran's Navy is at the bottom of the sea, whether it's the Soleimani class, their frigate class, their prized drone aircraft carriers, submarines, mine layers, sunk. Iran's Air Force has been wiped out. Iran no longer has an air defense, any sort of a comprehensive air defense system. We own their skies. Their missile program is functionally destroyed. Launchers, production facilities, and existing stockpiles depleted and decimated. And almost completely ineffective. Iran shot hundreds and hundreds of missiles and one-way attack drones at our aircraft carrier. They were obsessed with it, and they never got even close. Every single one of those shots easily shot down miles and miles away from the Abe Lincoln. They were blown.
If everyone wants, they can go over to YouTube if they prefer that over Rumble. Because I'm on YouTube right now, but who knows? A lot of those videos get taken down, on me. They ban them for different reasons.
Blowing ammo into Fantasyland. Contrast that with, most significantly, in last night's wave of more than 800 strikes, we finished completely destroying Iran's defense industrial base, a core pillar of our mission objective. What little they have left buried in bunkers is all they will have.
Good one.
They can still shoot, we know that. Their command and control is so decimated.
I don't think they can swim at all, Colin.
They can't really talk and coordinate. So they still may shoot here and there, but that would be very, very unwise. But they can no longer build missiles, build rockets, build launchers, or build UAVs. Their factories.
I've seen other animals like deer, or not deer, well, yeah, maybe a deer, but also like a horse go into the water to try to get away from like lions trying to eat it. And the lions won't go too far into it. They will, if they're staying on the back, they'll kind of go in. But eventually, if they don't end up on the back. After a little while, the lions don't like the water so much.
Have been razed to the ground, set back in historic fashion. You see, had Iran refused our terms, the next targets would have been their power plants.
Yeah, first the Iranian people, I'll talk more about it later. They were upset about the ceasefire, but now they're seeing that a lot of the Iranian durka crazies, jihadists, are fighting each other over who's the one that's who's doing the deal and this and that, and they're fighting each other over that, and some of them are still shooting missiles and all that kind of stuff.
Bridges and oil and energy infrastructure, targets they could not defend and could not realistically
Colin, I think they're interested in anything and everything.
rebuild. It would have taken them decades, and we were locked and loaded. They couldn't defend against it. President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes, but he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate.
What's going on in Iran right now is they're trying to find out who made the deal. They're shooting each other.
That awaited them. This new regime just happened to look at what happened to their predecessors. Their top leadership was systematically eliminated. Their previous Iranian supreme leader, dead. The Supreme National Security Council Secretary, dead. The Supreme Leader Office Advisor, dead. The Supreme Leader Military Office Chief, dead. The Defense Minister, no longer with us. The IRGC Commander, dead. The Armed Forces General Staff Commander, dead. The Intelligence Minister, dead. The IRGC Navy Commander, no longer here. The IRGC Intel
Colin.
Chief, dead. I skipped over a bunch, and I could go on and on and on, to include the new so-called new Supreme.
It seems like they're kind of leaving the regular military, but not the durka ones, you know? They're leaving the regular army and stuff. There's two divisions. One's the RITC or whatever it is. And then there's the regular army.
Supreme Leader wounded and disfigured.
And they're leaving the regular army.
This new regime was out of options and out of time.
I think over time will be the group, for the most part, that'll be fighting the other extremists.
So they cut a deal. They know this agreement means that they will never, ever possess a nuclear weapon. Under the terms, any nuclear material they should have will be removed. Any material, they should not have will be removed. Right now, their dust is deeply buried and watched 24/7 overhead. The president has been clear from the beginning, there will be no Iranian nuclear weapons. Period. Full stop. Other presidents said it. President Trump did it. Operation Epic Fury. Less than 6 weeks, clear mission, decisive action, overwhelming firepower, America first, a historic battlefield victory.
They need to start raising more goats for all of them. I mean, if they get 72 each, that's going to take a lot of goats for all of them that are dying.
Decades, Iran killed Americans with roadside bombs in Iraq, using cowardly proxies to do their dirty work while they hid safely in Tehran. They struck our embassies with car bombs and attacked from the shadows, never daring to face us toe-to-toe. They thought they could bleed America with impunity. Well, they just learned the hard way what happens when you try to fight us directly. And even when they got lucky, one time in 40 days, and downed 2 of our pilots, they couldn't hold them. In a daring 14-hour rescue operation, 7 hours in daylight and 7 hours of night, both pilots were recovered safely. Not once.
Guess how they found our soldier? They were able to find his heartbeat somehow to locate him exactly.
But twice. A daylight thunder run right up the middle of their country. Boots on the ground. A midnight raid right up the middle of their country. Boots on the ground. 0 American casualties. The Iranians humiliated and demoralized. We control their fate, not the other way around. That's why they came to the table. Iran's defeat is America's retribution for every American lost to Iranian terror, especially those brave troops killed by Iranian.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to stream. I tried to stream it to Wimkin, and it's not working yet.
Made roadside bombs in Iraq that my generation knows so well, and for the suffering their regime has inflicted around the world. Now we have a chance at real peace and a real deal. The War Department, for now,
Don't worry, I'm just opening with this to get people on
for
here.
now,
Where I bring
has
up
done
the
its
better
part.
stuff.
We stand ready in the background to ensure
from The
Iran
Fringe.
upholds every reasonable term.
Something from Goldie.
And as everyone knows,
and a few other
nobody
clips.
makes a better deal than President Trump. To the warriors of epic fury, I say well done. You're the backbone of our country. Your skill, your bravery, and sheer guts and grit showed the world what America is all about. I'm proud of you. We're proud of you. President is proud of you. Job well done. But stay vigilant and stay ready. To the families of our fallen, your sacrifice was in service of a historic cause, and we will always remember your heroes, our heroes. We will continue to honor them. And to our Israeli allies, thank you for being a brave, capable, and willing ally on this battlefield. The rest of the world and the rest of our so-called allies saw what real capabilities look like. They should take some notes. Our troops, our American warriors, deserve the credit.
Yeah, Catherine, like I'm saying, they're starting to kill each other. There's 5 different factions that are kind of squabbling with each other.
For this day. But God deserves all the glory. Tens of thousands of sorties, refuelings, and strikes carried out under the protection of divine providence. A massive effort with miraculous protection. Dude 44 Bravo spoke for all of us. God is good. The chairman will now provide an even deeper military detail on the historic success of Operation Epic Fury. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. I want to start this morning by honoring the 13 members of our American Joint Force who were killed in action thus far during this operation. Their sacrifice and that of their families is deeply important to us, and we are grateful. We are grateful for each of them, and will continue to mourn their loss. Their names and their bravery will never be forgotten. On February 28th, the President of the United States ordered the Joint Force to execute Operation Epic Fury with the direction to accomplish 3 distinct military objectives: destroy Iran's ballistic missile and drone capabilities, destroy the Iranian Navy, and destroy their defense industrial base to ensure that Iran cannot reconstitute the ability to project power outside their borders. Over the course of 38 days...
Imagine they've got something similar to the CIA there, but those are kind of stealth and hidden.
As a major combat operation, the Joint Force achieved the military objectives as defined by the President. We welcome the ongoing ceasefire, and as the Secretary said, we hope that Iran chooses a lasting peace. But as Secretary Hegseth said, let us be clear, a ceasefire is a pause, and the Joint Force remains ready, if ordered or called upon, to resume combat operations with the same speed and precision as we've demonstrated over the last 38 days, and we hope that that is not the case. I want to congratulate and thank the leadership today at U.S. Central Command, including the commander.
In the end, I think it'll be the Iranian people that'll have the boots on the ground.
Admiral Brad Cooper, the deputy.
It's close to that now. They haven't got the equipment yet. But
Commander Lieutenant General Kevin Leahy, the senior enlisted leader, Fleet Master Chief Compton, and every one of the component commanders, senior enlisted leaders, and especially the staff down at U.S. Central Command, who does not get called out for any of the credit, but grinds 24/7 to help offer the options that we bring to the Secretary and the President. I also want to highlight the forces in the United States European Command under the command of Alexis Grinkowicz, who protected the western flank in support of CENTCOM. And I want to thank our partners across the intelligence community. Our ability to see and understand what an adversary is doing help us to be as decisive as we must be on the battlefield. And that includes DIA, NSA, NGA, the CIA, and the National Reconnaissance Office, and others. I want to thank the other combatant commands who have thus far contributed along the way to U.S. Central Command. This includes Transcom, Stratcom, Spacecom, SOCOM, and Cybercom, all of whom poured all in support of CENTCOM's efforts. And I want to thank, as the Secretary did, our Gulf partners who fought alongside each and every one of us every day. from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan, all who joined us together to defend and protect our people and our assets, and who, if required, stand ready to do so again. And I want to thank my team at the Joint Staff who work literally around the clock in order to help me offer the options that I must with the associated risks to the Secretary and to the President. They are the hardest working people that I know, and I am deeply grateful for their service. Most importantly today, I want to thank America's members of the Joint Force who've poured everything that they can into Operation Epic Fury, and their families who've worked 24 hours a day for 38 days. The Secretary and I could not be more proud of each and every one of you. And we deeply appreciate the support of the American people, who we know always have us in our thoughts and prayers. And we can feel this literally every single day. As the Secretary said, the United States has devastated the regime's ability to harm Americans and our interests for years to come. Since the beginning of major combat operations, the United States Joint Force has struck more than 13,000 targets, including in that 13,000, more than 4,000 dynamic targets that popped up on the battlefield and were immediately addressed, thanks to the exceptional command and control system and intelligence, acumen, and agility of our Joint Force. CENTCOM forces destroyed approximately 80% of Iran's air defense systems, striking more than 1,500 air defense targets, more than 450 ballistic missile storage facilities, 800 one-way attack drones storage facilities. All of these systems are gone. We've devastated Iran's command and control and logistical networks, destroying more than 2,000 command and control nodes and degrading their ability to target U.S. and friendly forces. It is, and we know this, incredibly frustrating right now to be a lower level Iranian commander trying to fight your fight. As the Secretary said, the Iranian Navy now lies mostly at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf, and we assess that we've sunk more than 90% of their regular fleet, including all of the major surface combatants, as the Secretary said. 150 ships are at the bottom of the ocean, and half of the
So I'm chatting some with some people from other platforms.
IRGC Navy small attack boats. Joint fires protected from the land, sea, and air executed more than 700 strikes against naval mine targets, and we had assessed that we destroyed more than 95% of their naval mines. And perhaps most importantly, we've destroyed Iran's defense industrial base, their ability to reconstitute those capabilities for years to come. We attacked, along with our partners, approximately 90% of their weapons factories. Every factory that produced Shahed one-way attack drones was struck. Every factory that produces the guidance systems that go into those drones was struck. Their missile defense industrial base is shattered, with more than 80% of their missile facilities gone, as well as their solid rocket motor production capability. It will take years for Iran to rebuild any major surface combatants, as more than 20 naval production and fabrication facilities have been damaged or destroyed. And nearly 80% of Iran's nuclear industrial base was hit, further degrading their attempts to attain a nuclear weapon. Throughout Operation Epic Fury, our joint force struck at the heart of Iran's ability to project power and threaten the United States and the region. And in order to do this, it required the service and sacrifice of more than 50,000 American warfighters deployed across CENTCOM, EUCOM, and stateside. The Joint Force flew more than 10,000 missions, including 62 bomber missions, 18 of which flew round trip from the United States to deliver bombs on military targets. Each of these missions was more than 30 hours in duration, and we did that 18 times. No other military in the world can do that. And it's a testament to the logistical force that quietly serves behind them. I cannot thank Transcom and the Air Force Tanker and Mobility Force more. Combined with Army and Navy joint fires, we struck more than 13,000 targets. And along with our Gulf partners, we've thus far intercepted 1,700 ballistic missiles and one-way attack drones, defending our forces and our partners in the civilian population. And we remain ready to do so should the need arise. Along the way, we consume more than 6 million meals, and by my estimate, more than 950,000 gallons of coffee, 2 million energy drinks, and a lot of nicotine, but I am not saying that we have a
So most of it's not good for you.
problem. I've laid out the statistics.
Good thing they're young.
But it does not truly capture the nature of combat. This is gritty and unforgiving business. It's chaotic, it's hot, it's dark, it's unpredictable, and there's always unknowns. And our people proudly walked into those unknowns and continue.
Yeah, yesterday it just cut off on me. I don't know why. Probably the video I played, I'm not sure.
Continue forward. And through it all, the Joint Force has demonstrated the unwavering resolve that the nation demands.
It was about an illegal stabbing 3 people, and the third one, he cut the guy's throat on it. I don't know if anyone's seen that on the thing, but they cut that off.
Demands of us. We are a mission-focused force, and our objectives always is to create the conditions for peace.
How can they run on cigarettes? Caffeine, I can understand. The nicotine?
And today we have,
anger,
while be ready should that peace break, which we hope it is not. And we remain ready. Before I turn it back to the Secretary, I also want to quickly revisit the rescue of the Air Force fighter crew over the weekend. To give you an update, we've had, the Secretary and I have had the profound honor of speaking directly with many of the warfighters on that mission, from the downed crew that were picked up to those forces that went and got them. Hearing these stories firsthand has only deepened our appreciation for their.
People say they'll make a movie of it. We'll see if they embellish it a bit, but
tenacity, creativity, courage, and grit of the American Joint Force.
Cocaine bus drivers? Wow, that's not safe.
This is a story that gets to the very heart and soul of who we are as a joint force, who we are as Americans. Selfless sacrifice in service of others. From the backseater, Dude 44 Bravo, whose pure and unadulterated joy at seeing those helicopters come into the valley to get his front seater in daylight, because he knew the front seater did not have a jacket, and was so filled with heart-leaping joy at his front seater getting picked up, to the nighttime folks that went in and then got him,
wow,
to the tanker forces that did the things that they had to do to give their own gas away, to the support packages, to those that went into the desert landing site not once, not twice, but 3 times as we fought through multiple contingencies. This was and is a joint force that has the guts to try, that does not quit, and who each.
Colin, do they allow a lot of illegals to drive the buses?
And every day does the things that we must to dare to win. No lives were lost. We succeeded because the joint force is always at the ready. They trust each other.
Yeah.
They trust their leaders, and they trust their training. And they remember first, foremost, and always that we do these things so that others may live, and we will never leave anyone behind. The success of Operation Fury thus far, and we hope it remains, culminates with this incredible rescue over the weekend, a direct example of the professionalism and courage of the United States military and our joint force. It's the service members on the front lines, our partners in the region.
Seems like they do a drug test for anyone driving the buses.
Our teammates in the intelligence community, our civilian leaders in the OSW side of the house, the American workers who build the tools and weapons that we use, and the American people who back us up that help us to go do these things.
They probably get government grants, Colin.
I stand here humbled today, but frankly not surprised by what the joint force has been able to do. Their performance is fueled by a deep commitment to each other, their mission, and to our country. It is an incredible, deep honor for me to be a part of this joint force, and I'm humbled by the service and sacrifice each and
It'd be more like a scary movie, John, with the bus drivers.
every day that I am lucky enough to see. And finally, as I always do, I ask that we never forget our fallen and their families, especially those 13 fallen from Operation Epic Fury. May we always be worthy of their sacrifice and honor their legacy. And with that, sir, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll take a few questions.
Alexander Ingersoll, One America News. First of all, thank you to our troops. What role is our military playing in escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz at this point? And the president said on Truth Social that the U.S. will be hanging around to make sure everything goes well. Obviously, Mr. Secretary, you just mentioned, we know the scars from hanging around in Iraq for decades. But what does that entail?
Yeah, about an hour ago, Iran claims whoever stated this, I don't know, it's not the one that's making the deal, but they stated they're not going to let them go through now.
In terms of our military
I don't know that they can totally stop them. They can shoot at them a little bit.
presence at this juncture.
Yeah, we'll be hanging around. We're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure Iran complies with this ceasefire and then ultimately comes to the table and makes a deal. So we'll stay put, stay ready, stay vigilant, as the chairman laid out. Our troops are prepared to defend, prepared to go on offense, prepared to restart at a moment's notice with whatever target package would be needed in order to ensure that Iran complies. As far as the Strait, you saw the initial agreement that was struck, which is Iran's letting ships go through. So there'll be that will be happening. They will be sailing, and ultimately, as the president, I mean, we've done an incredible job militarily inside the Strait of Hormuz. What Admiral Cooper, I failed to mention Admiral Cooper's name. He's done a phenomenal job along with everybody at AFCENT, NAVCENT, ARCENT, all the components down there, laying the groundwork for Iran. Iran doesn't have the same ability to defend it the way they did before. And so as the president has pointed out to the rest of the world, we barely get any of our energy out of the Strait, just a tiny fraction. It's time for the rest of the world to step up and ensure that that stays open after President Trump and the War Department brought Iran to the place where they are voluntarily opening it right now, as was announced last night. Yes, Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you both for the update. President Trump posted on Truth Social this morning that there has been a very productive regime change in Iran, and that there will be no enrichment of uranium, and the U.S. will work with Iran to dig up and remove the deeply buried nuclear dust. So I just have two questions here. So both you, Mr. Secretary, and the President have referred to a new regime in Iran. So is this not the regime?
Now remember that right now there's 5 factions. So he's talking to probably the better of all the ones to communicate with, because there's some real serious jihadist durka ones, and they're fighting each other right now.
That was at war with us for 47 years, and what do we think of when we're saying that this is a new regime? What are we thinking, and what are we saying there? And then my second question is, with any future deal with Iran, is their handing over of all of their enriched uranium, and they're promising not to enrich any future uranium, a non-negotiable for the U.S.?
Well, it's always been non-negotiable that they won't have nuclear capability.
As far as them promising anything, it's like a piece of crap to you, you know?
Capabilities. And so right now,
there has to be a way to make sure they can't.
It's buried, and we're watching it. We know exactly what they have, and they know that, and they will either give it to us, which the president has laid out. They'll give it to us voluntarily. We'll get it. We'll take it out. Or if we have to do something else ourselves, like we did in Midnight Hammer or something like that, we reserve that opportunity. But what's clear, what the new Iranian regime knows, is they'll never have a nuclear weapon or the capability to get a path to one. As far as the new regime, you heard the list that I read. It's a new group of people who've seen the full capability of the United States military and has a new calculus about what it means to negotiate with us. Hence why they came to the table wanting a ceasefire and the shooting to stop. So this new regime, which the regime has been changed, has a different interaction with the U.S. Right here.
Mr. Secretary, thank you.
Of course. I was going in front right here.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary and General Kane. Mary Margaret with the Daily Wire. 2 questions. Iran has said that safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible in coordination with Iran's armed forces and, quote, technical limitations. What do you believe that means? And then we've also heard reports that Iran has continued striking targets well into this morning. At what point are we beyond a grace period? Are we giving them a grace period? Is there a miscommunication there? What's going on with that?
What we know
What's happening is a lot of their factions don't agree.
is that Iran is going to say a lot of things. A lot of people are going to say a lot of things, claim a lot of things. What has been agreed to, what's been stated, is the strait is open. Our military is watching. I'm sure their military is watching, but commerce will flow. And that's what you saw the markets react to, is that reality. As far as shooting, that we were monitoring it last night in real time. Of course we are. Iran would be wise to find a way to get the carrier pigeon to their troops out in remote locations to know not to shoot any longer one-way attacks or missiles, because this is it takes time sometimes.
Powdering their noses, huh?
We're watching it. We're prepared if necessary.
God, what is it? A lot of women bus drivers powdering their noses?
But we hope and believe that it'll hold. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thank you, Secretary. Yesterday in the President's Truth Social, he threatened to wipe out a civilization. That statement elicited a huge response in America. If Iran did not come to the table and make a deal yesterday by the deadline, was the president really prepared to wipe out Iran entirely?
Not good.
Like I said, we had a target set, locked and loaded, of infrastructure, bridges, power plants. Remember, this is a terror regime. The military regime used all of these things for dual use to fund their military, to fund their terror campaigns. We had a lot of legitimate targets. They knew exactly the scope of what we were capable of. We hit some military targets on Karg, which is a bit of a signal. They can't defend it. And so Iran ultimately understood their ability, their future, to produce, to generate power, to fuel their terrorist.
Yeah, don't they have a lot of those double-decker buses that to drive too, Colin? There's some areas you can't drive those without hitting people on the top deck.
Regime was in our hands, was in President Trump's hands. That's why they came to the table. He ultimately said, we can take it all from you. Your ability to export energy will be taken away. And the United States military has the ability to strike those things with impunity. That type of threat is what brought them to the place where they effectively say, hey, okay, we want to cut this deal. Yes, right here.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman. David Zia, Real America's Voice. During the ceasefire, what do we do when we see Iran
That's okay, Tammy.
rearming, regrouping, repositioning weapons?
My best durka videos are coming up.
Weapon systems and air defenses, and also
this is just a warm up to them.
So have we confirmed the specific model type of air defense or man pads that took down our F-15, and is it still a threat for our patrols?
We're still working through the specific details around that particular shoot down. And the crews, when they normally return, go through a debriefing process along with the other members of that flight that were out there. And they'll go back, as they always do, and forensically look at what are the tactical lessons.
Yeah, Mary Ann, they drive on the other side of the road too.
Learned. Did we sense or see something? Could we have done something different? We do that, as I mentioned in a prior press conference, every single time we take any loss like that, so that we become a quick learning organization. On the other part of your question around the movement of Iranian military forces, U.S. CENTCOM will continue to monitor that situation. They will continue to have a series of response options, and if need be, will come to the Secretary and to the President for guidance and be prepared to.
Was there people on the upper part of the bus, Colin?
To do the things that they're ordered to do so against valid military targets in accordance with the normal procedures that we have.
I would just note, it's a good question. The more Iran moves forces, the more they emplace forces, the more easily targetable they are for us right now. Remember, we're able to look.
We're also able to see them as they move them.
We're able to see, we're able to sense. We know so if they try to pre-position, they're just creating riper military targets for us to strike should they make the wrong decision at the table. Right here.
Mr. Secretary, Louis Martinez with ABC News. First, a question to General Kane, sir. In your personal opinion, were the risks of the Strait of Hormuz being closed because of the conflict, were they mitigated early enough?
Yeah, I wouldn't feel safe.
Part of the decision-making process to lead up to the decision to take action against Iran. And in your opinion, is Iran in control of the Strait of Hormuz? We just heard the Secretary say that Iran is letting them ships through, which would imply potentially it's not just.
There's a lawsuit for
the
you
Secretary
coming.
also said that the U.S. That the strait is open. You did say that, sir. But in your opinion, sir, how can the U.S. ensure safe passage? Mr. Secretary, can you say today that the United States achieved the administration achieved the military goals that you've constantly delineated, but strategically, is that a victory because of that? And also, you said earlier that the president chose mercy, but you yourself had said 3 weeks ago that we will give no quarter to Iranian troops. How do you correlate those two? And do you think that your comments may put American troops at risk?
No. On here yet.
I try to be nice up here, but you did listen to what I said, right? I laid out the objectives. We believe we've accomplished them, and it's a historic military victory. And President Trump has the option as the commander in chief to compel an adversary to the table, which is precisely what he did. And at the end, he chose to say, you know what, I'd rather talk to you at the table than obliterate your capability to export oil and fund your terror regime. So he did make that choice. That was his choice. He was a president of peace, and he's been willing to make those really tough calls that the American people elected him to do. Nothing we've done, not a single thing we've done. This is a typical, of course, it's ABC. Not a single thing we've done has put an American troop in more of a harm's way. We've only set our troops up to harm Iranian military capabilities, which they've done to devastating fashion and to great success. Mr. Chairman, you had a point.
There's a lot in that question. I'd love to take that offline and answer it, but I'm struggling to find exactly what your question was, and that's probably me, not you.
No, okay. It's like a different class.
Sorry about that. Chairman, sorry. It was an indictment framed as a question, so you're forgiven for understanding. Go ahead, please. No.
Biden and a lot of the blue states are handing out these CDLs to all these illegal drivers from other countries that didn't even pass the test.
You've had your chance. Go ahead, sir.
Open right now.
Thank you very much.
I believe so, based on the diplomatic negotiation. So I believe so.
They want to turn the whole country into California. Crap.
Nice to see you. Sorry. Mr. Kurd or Rahim Rashidi from Kurdistan. I'm Representative Kurdistan TV and Kurdistan 24 today. I have two questions. Mr. Secretary, will your forces stay in the region and continue to defend and protect your allies and take the responsibility for their security? Second question is, as you mentioned many times, that you have full control of Iran airspace. Do you still have this control or not?
Well, thank you for the question. The chairman mentioned the UAE and Bahrain and Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, who have fought shoulder to shoulder with us, especially in defense of our facilities, of our people, of their facilities, and we appreciate that. So that coordination, of course, will continue. And then when it comes to the skies over Iran, I would point to Exhibit A and Exhibit B, 7 hours in the day, 7 hours at night. If any foreign adversary had attempted to do the same over our soil, they would have no ability to do so. Will they have a system here or there? Maybe. Do they have a network, a system that's capable of defending their skies? No, they don't. It's, as the chairman laid out, that's been dismantled, degraded, and destroyed. So it's a slight distinction, but an important one. Yes, right here. Go ahead.
General George in the middle of a war.
Excuse me. You got a question? Go ahead.
Yes. Two questions actually for you. So during this time, are you still encouraging civilians to rise up against the regime, or are they satisfied with this new regime change, or is this two-week period to kind of see?
Well, there's a good question, but I bet you can't really answer that yet because they don't want them to come out yet.
where that leads. Also, talked about the enriched uranium going in there. Would that require special forces or other military, our service members? Who would be basically going in there and trusted to going in there to get that uranium out?
Again, on the uranium, we're watching it. We know what they have, and they will give it up, and we'll get it, and we'll take it. If we have to, we can do it in any means necessary. So that's something the president is going to solve for. We already have with Midnight Hammer, with the place we put them in, and the reason it's in the situation where it is. The second one was about the people. Listen, I would love to see the Iranian people take advantage of this opportunity. They have been oppressed by the previous regime, and they'll have a new opportunity with this regime. That remains to be seen. That was not our objective in this effort.
The durkas are going to kill this regime.
But they're brave people. Horrible things have been done to them by the previous regime. Tens of thousands targeted.
They're actually trying to find out which leaders exactly are trying to do the deal.
Killed and assassinated in a way the government never should. And we wish them the best. Absolutely. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the fringe. Sorry. The fringe. This guy's out of Canada, and he's for Alberta leaving Canada and maybe joining USA, but at least leaving Canada. And that's their big cash cow. Them and what's the other one? Saskatchewan. The two of those leaving together and leaving Canada, and then their whole communism thing would fail because they get 70% of their money from that province, and they're taxing the living crap out of them. Plus, they aren't letting them get all the oil out of there that they can, like 1/4 of what they can or less. So this guy's pretty good. You'll like him.
Oil prices plummeted, and a deal for a ceasefire, at least temporarily, was reached between Iran and the United States. But was it too good to be true and too soon to celebrate? We're going to talk about it right now. I never like to gloat on this channel, but if you remember yesterday's video, while the earth was going nuts over President Trump's ultimatum for Iran, you had Alex Jones, you had Candace Owens, you had Robert Barnes, you had a whole bunch of people shouting 25th Amendment. Let's get Trump out. What is it Robert Barnes said? Let's tackle him and let him pretend he's still president. People losing their collective minds thinking that President Trump was going to effectively do something that would be an international war crime. It's not going to happen. And I told you yesterday it wasn't going to happen. In fact, on yesterday's video, I said, I'll bet you by the end of the day, there's some form of deal, at least a temporary one, squeaking in at the last minute. And sure enough, folks, less than an hour after we put our video forward, a deal had been reached. Benny Johnson had first reported it was CNN. CNN had to actually backtrack their deal that they said was reached because they put a lot of false statements in there. I'm not going to really cover that today. But what we will cover is the initial statement that came out from President Trump, because I'm wondering if people are celebrating a little too soon on this. Based on the conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Azim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this is temporary. Oh, it's not going to last. It's going to cause More problems. Trump's got an itchy trigger finger. He's a god king who's drunk on power. It doesn't matter what President Trump does. People get mad. I said it yesterday. You have to fight crazy with crazy, and it looks like this is how you win. Look, I pointed it out too yesterday that this is how Trump negotiates. This is the art of the deal. Anybody who couldn't understand that, anybody who's flipping out or getting crazy and saying, oh my God, it's the end of times, relax. Nothing's happening. This is all people putting in their big boy pants and trying to have a measuring contest around the room, so to speak. Trump was never going to do what he said he was going to do, and I'll show you more proof of that. We've got Glenn Beck talking about President Trump the other day. Trump never tells people his plans. Why would he suddenly tell Iran exactly where and when he'd attack? Was it just a distraction for something else in the works? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
As much as I would like to take the credit for this, and believe me, I would, Jason was just talking to the insiders, and he said, you know, Donald Trump never tells anybody his plans, never. And it's true. I mean, I've been with him on air and privately, and I've said, so does this mean you would X, Y, and Z? And both on air and privately, he had looked at me and smiled and went, I'm not going to tell you that. Why would I tell anyone that?
Just embarrassed a reporter in the press corps, I think it was last week or the week before, where they asked him about his timeline. And Ryan was like, are you an idiot? Like, I would tell you exactly what time I'm going ahead.
He's not. So, the 8 o'clock thing is probably not accurate. But more importantly, why would he say, I'm going to hit all of the electrical plants tonight? I'm going to take all your... He wouldn't say that. This is such a brilliant observation, Jason, that he would never say that. Why would he say that? Because right now they are positioning everything around the power plants. They are rumored to be, do we have this didn't CNN report that they are putting people, human shields around the power plants?
CBS confirmed.
So that's not Donald Trump. Now, what is Donald Trump is something I said earlier. He said in 1982, I think, if they ever misbehaved, I would just go take the oil. I would just go and take Carg Island. Why not just take Carg Island? That's the cash machine. That's where 90% of their oil flows through there. If you just take Carg Island and then you take the other two islands that are there.
Yeah, John, I totally agree. There's so many leaks there. In fact, ones that don't even
cut them off. In
fact, there's a lot that don't even like America.
Entirely from their money and their ability to stop the strait. That would be a much smarter move because everybody is perplexed. Why would he go after these power plants? And you're going to hear tomorrow or whenever this starts. I don't expect it to happen at 8 o'clock tonight, but it might.
He was saying that to get leverage.
Whenever this starts, you're going to hear Taco Tuesday. He backed down again. He didn't destroy. Right now, everybody's like, you can't destroy all of their power plants. That would be very bad. Geneva Convention, et cetera, et cetera. And what they're going to do is they're going to come back instead, and they will say, see, he backs down every time.
Want to go to Idaho?
So,
really?
Take what Glenn Beck says and do me a favor.
Oh.
Go on your socials.
Idaho?
Go peruse social medias and see what people are saying if Glenn Beck is spouting the truth. The reason I'm showing this clip, folks, is because anytime people are saying, oh, he's unhinged, he's crazy, he's mad, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's drunk with power, the usual stuff. Show them this clip. Show people this clip. Put this out on your socials. In fact, send this out to everybody in your socials, on your Facebooks, your Instagrams, your X accounts, wherever. Share it out far and wide and show people, look, if you have some common sense, if you stop reacting as soon as you hear all this stuff from, and again, I'm a guilty party. I'm one of the influencers on the internet. But if you stop taking all the doomsday scenarios from the Piers Morgans and the all the parties we mentioned earlier, I'm not going to go through them all again. The Candace Owens and everybody else. If you take away from all of that and start thinking about it rationally, as Glenn Beck says, why would President Trump say where he's going to attack? Why would he tell everybody where he's going to be? If you really wanted to end this conflict, you would do exactly what Glenn Beck's saying. You'd be a little strategic about it. You'd go where the win is going to be and what puts an end to the conflict as quickly as possible. Now, that being said, folks, there is obviously a ceasefire that was negotiated, or at least we thought so, because as I was about to film this video, well, all of a sudden, breaking news comes out from Fox. Non-stop Iranian missiles are raining down on Tel Aviv less than 2 hours into the ceasefire. Since the ceasefire began, Iran has attacked Israel, Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. Where's the outrage? So everybody was mad at President Trump.
So UAE today responded and shot some missiles back at Iran.
Trump saying, "Oh, it's Glenn Beck even just said the Geneva Convention. It's all these things that they're war crimes. They're huge issues."
Oh, they also sent some planes that bombed them.
Iran agreed to a ceasefire, and then as soon as Trump went to bed, they said, "Okay, light them up." I'm not sure at the time of filming this video. Again, keep in mind, folks, I do film the video you're watching the evening before. So I'm not sure what kind of retaliation will be around today or what President Trump or his administration will have to say today. But before I show you this clip, remember what Glenn Beck said when President Trump comes out and makes a statement, if he makes a statement at all. If he says, "I'm going to bomb the shit out of those people," then step back and say for a second, no, he's not. No, he's not. And anything he is going to do is going to be sanctioned. It's going to be okay. I mean, they're saying right now that Trump is going to win the midterms favorably. He is also probably going to take control of the House. So there's no impeachment. There's no weird stuff coming. But take a look at what's going on, courtesy of Iran, after they agreed to a ceasefire.
What are we seeing there? Well, Jesse, as anticipated, the sirens are now wailing over Tel Aviv, indicating that another missile is...
And this is happening because of the people I talk that are connected to Iran and are in Iran and stuff like that are telling me there's different factions fighting each other in Iran. They can't agree to anything with the different factions, so they're going to fight it out between themselves.
Inbound, and it looks like those bright lights in the sky are the missiles. And it looks like you can see an interceptor that is in hot pursuit of the missiles. And it's always quite dramatic when you see those interceptors going after it. And these ones might disappear behind our building here, and we're going to lose sight of them. But they're still quite lethal and coming into Tel Aviv. And I didn't see an interception in this case. Should be able to hear it in a second or so. And it's still quite lethal. When there's an interception. Most of what we see out here are those cluster bombs in recent days. But when you get a conventional warhead with that powerful explosive, obviously you hope that the interceptors can get it. And the interceptors are about 90% effective, but that means 10% get through. And those conventional warheads we've seen are quite powerful. They leave great craters in the ground. Still waiting to hear the impact on this one, which should come any second.
That's not going to fly.
Two lights in the sky. There. And there was another flash off in the distance here.
So Iran has already broken the deal.
It's going to freeze to death.
Of a ceasefire.
Didn't have any extra clothes either.
I'm not sure where this is going to leave negotiations. I'm not sure what tensions are going to mount in the United States, but just know, folks, that
even at night in Texas, it must get cold.
I'm not here to poison the well. I'm not here to say, hey, let's cheerlead Trump or let's do this, let's do that, let's do the other thing. What I'm talking about here is just rational thought. When you see the masses losing their minds, when they're willing to jump on any train, this is why I do things differently on this channel, which, by the way, if you're watching it for the first time, this is why you should be subscribed to this channel. This channel isn't like other YouTube channels. We're not here for the views and clicks. We're here to give you the truth. We're here to just put it out there and allow you to decide for yourselves, but to also try and be a voice of reason in these times to say that, hey, we're not always going to react to everything that comes out as soon as it comes out. Let's take a look at the bigger picture here. Let's be reasonable. Let's be rational. The reality is whatever President Trump does at this point is more than justified. With the price of oil plummeting down, I'm curious to see what kind of effect that's going to have or how long it's going to take for that to have any kind of effect on the fuel markets. But the good news is that other countries are going to start to see fuel come back. Countries like Australia that were running out of fuel, etc. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. How do you think the United States is going to react to Iran shooting off missiles all over the Middle East? And let me know your thoughts down below. Also, what do you think about what Glenn Beck said? Do you agree with what Glenn Beck said? Do you agree that President Trump isn't going to be telling people anytime soon where he's going, and that this is kind of a...
They're kind of giving up shooting them at the ships because none of them get through. They all get shot down, every single one of them. So they kind of given up shooting them there. So they're shooting them at the right residential areas.
Flex when he's doing this thing. This is part of the art of the deal.
Yeah, that's kind of cold at night if you got shorts on, John.
This is part of the negotiation process, using power to get things done. Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, again, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you hit that button, you leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. Hype the video up. Apparently, that's a thing now, too. If you know where the hype button is, make sure to use your hype points and hype up this video. It helps get us past the censor. Jeff Rath from Stay Free Alberta talk on that.
Okay. As far as that's going. All right, I'm going to bring up the durka now. This is Goldie. They were talking a bit about it today. It's pretty good. Watch this.
That was translated directly from Persian into English. And so the version, guys, the version that we translated and shared with you had the requirement for allowing the Islamic regime to enrich uranium. However, the official English version put out didn't have that, and a lot of English language reporters.
Maybe I should give some background. They're telling their people on their TV stations, only ones they can get. They can't get outside TV stations. That we agreed to let them make nuke weapons and everything. All of that stuff. And they had won, and this and that, and Trump had backed down, USA had backed down, and they were going to get reparations. They were going to give them all money. They were telling all this stuff on their TV stations, and this and that, because they were planning. They thought that their ships were all winning and sinking our ships, and they were coming over to America to take over America. That's what the crap they're telling on their TV in Iran. Luckily, there's people that are getting some internet, and that's total bull crap. So when this came out that there was a ceasefire, the people there were like, what? They wanted to take over America. Watch this.
Didn't catch that. And I didn't, I woke up this morning and I was like, wait, what's going on with this thing? I was confused for a moment, because I'm like, wait, how did people not know that nuclear enrichment was a part of the supposed terms? And then remember, I was like, okay, well, if this is the terms, I mean, the United States is never going to agree to that. But for some reason, that made the news. The mainstream media was going with this weird 10-point plan that was a complete lie.
I think the Americans completely understand that the Islamic Republic's highest priority right now is to save face among its own supporters. So that's why and I think their priority is right now is what will happen eventually, when it comes to the enrichment of uranium and the already enriched uranium. And they're like, sure, whatever. You guys could tell us something and tell your followers something else. We don't care. As long as we get to a position where you can't enrich uranium anymore,
they're saying all this to their durka crowd so they can stay in power, because their people are starting to get upset. They're finding out the truth, and they're starting to rise up against their own bosses. There.
So that's our metric. You could go and tell different people different things if you want. Right? That's what I think is happening.
And look at this, Armin. So Iran International English is now confirming explosions and air defense activity heard across Tehran on Wednesday evening. Eyewitnesses said they heard drone activity in southern Jannat Abad, a residential area in West Tehran, at 7:30 local time, 7:30 in the evening, as well as about 15 small explosions. Eyewitnesses also
sent some planes over and drones and all that kind of stuff, because they were getting bombed, so they went and responded.
Said they heard a loud explosion in Marzdaran also in West Tehran around 7:45. They said explosions and air defense activity were heard in central Tehran at 8 p.m. Eyewitnesses said air defense systems were active in the Mehrabad area near Tehran's main domestic airport in the west of the city and Shahrak-e-Istiqlal, a neighborhood in West Tehran. So like the boom booms are continuing.
Yeah, and also I'm also hearing reports that the Islamic Republic is saying we're closing the Strait of Hormuz because of Lebanon.
Yeah.
So
Well, that ties in with what Araghchi said.
yeah.
Here's another footage of like apparently they're now like attacking like Khamenei, like Mushtaba or something.
Now this crowd of these durka ones are all upset at their leaders now and starting to go after them.
So he's saying اعتراض به آتش بس, which means protest against the ceasefire. So these durka jihadis are protesting because they're angry about this so-called ceasefire.
He's saying all our suffering comes because of these traitorous liberals. So when he says traitorous liberals, he's talking about reformers, so-called reformers. You're like, oh my God, like we were winning, and now we got a ceasefire because of these traitorous liberals got us a ceasefire instead of like continuation of the destroying the Americans.
Yeah. Because, they destroyed everything. Remember, guys.
Death to the Sazeshkar.
Peacemaker?
Yeah.
Like, how would
no
the best way to translate that? Let me put it in Google Translate and see.
Yes.
Sazeshkar.
Sazeshkar.
Compromiser.
Yeah. That's
so they're chanting death to the compromiser.
Now remember, both of them speak Farsi, not Arabic or whatever.
But
they know some.
But here's the thing. So they said, look, can I show this for a second here? 1 second. If they're saying death to the Sazeshkar, there's already, because that the Sedosima, the Islamic Republic State TV, announced that the ceasefire order came from Mujtaba Khamenei. So now that you're saying that these people are saying death to the compromiser, are they saying death to Khamenei?
They're saying the order came from the guy that's in a coma and lost a leg?
Because at least according to Sedosima, the order came from Mujtaba. So what is happening now?
We don't know. No longer death to America, it's death to the compromiser. The only question is, who's the compromiser? Is it Mushtaba?
Goldie! We did it! We finally did it! They agree with us. They're saying death to Khamenei. We did it! Guys, Iran is finally free. The remaining 5 or 3%, I don't know how much they are. Now they're also agreeing with
man.
us. Yeah. Guys, this is regime change now.
Get back up to speed, Marianne. This is a Iranian durka crazies now upset with their government for making an agreement because their media channels there, the ones controlled by the government, were always saying how they were beating America, they'd sunk all these ships, they were coming to America to take us down. So they're upset that there was an agreement made. Now, a peace agreement or a pause.
Oh, you mentioned Araghchi. Maybe they're talking about Araghchi. Oh, they're going after Araghchi too.
So you're saying ما یک کلمه با یه tweet عراقچی, I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
I wish it went longer. That was getting good. That was getting so good.
I know.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
You got me laughing, John. That's a good one.
I think what he's basically, if I had to guess, I would assume that what he probably finishes with is, I don't agree with one word of Arokchi's posts or something.
Posts, yes. So Goldie, if you were a regime supporter, would you say that Mujtaba is wrong, or would you say they're lying that Mujtaba said that?
So already some of them have assassinated some of the upper people because they can't find out who's the one that made the agreement. That name's never been released. They suspected certain people. And so these 5 different factions are squabbling with each other, starting to kill each other, kill their leaders of each other.
I think I would go with the second one.
I would go with the second one to be safe. I think that's why they're going after like Arokchi and like Javad Zarif and whatever. And I mean, so this could be why Arokchi put out this post now to try and like, I don't know, not be like beheaded by the durka jihadis that are calling for his death right now in the streets all across Iran.
Right. Yeah, they're giving some speeches. If I played this whole thing, they're really giving speeches where they claim they're going to behead these people. They're going to chop their heads off and put them up on a post. Anyone that wants to make peace.
Right? A few days ago, they were calling for the death of Javad Zarif, and now they've also included Arokchi in that.
You let this brew for a week or two, and it'll be really bad. They're going to get so weak fighting each other.
Goldie, remember I told you there was only one person on earth that could hold these people back, and that was Ali Khamenei. There was only one person that could pull the leash on these people, and now he's dead. And that's why now you have to give, like, whatever these people want, you have to give it to them, or else you're going to have regime change by the durka people. We wouldn't even get the chance to do a regime change because the durka people would do regime change. And guys, this is why I think the supreme leader in Iran right now is not Mujtaba Khamenei, it's IRIB, like it's the state TV, state media. That's the supreme leader because they are the voice of these durka people.
Meanwhile, Armin, amongst everything else that's happening, apparently a group of U.S. tankers have taken off from Israel and are heading east towards Iran. This was posted about an hour ago. So there's still a lot happening.
How much oil did we get out of the Persian Gulf before? Like, guys, like I wouldn't mind the ceasefire breaking apart. Like that would mean that we're gonna go booming the Islamic Republic over again. But I hope that we manage to get a lot of oil out of the Persian Gulf before this happens. Like, get your oil out, boys. Get your oil out before they close it again. Come on, get it out. Let me see oil prices. Is it going up or down?
And
they're down about
News, so
$17
News is,
today, but that's
an
still not
Islamic
enough.
regime media outlet. They have now said, according to the reports today, the enemy, which is the United States and Israel, has violated the ceasefire and targeted areas near Tehran. Adds AA activity is being heard in.
It's a Dubai or one of the ones they bombed first.
Tehran. So,
has responded so far. USA hasn't shot them at all.
Regime is now confirming that they have been boomed. So they're now claiming that United States and Israel have violated the terms of the ceasefire. I mean,
definitely,
but here's the thing, Armin.
This is the least ceasefire in the history of ceasefires. But yeah, go.
It's the least ceasefire of all the ceasefires I've ever witnessed. So,
and it is because there's different factions that don't want to do it, and they have no control over each other.
In history. And what's really interesting is that President Trump made it very clear they will only agree to the ceasefire subject to reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh, yeah.
And that hasn't really happened.
Goldie, we haven't even got to the enriched uranium part. We're like already stuck on Lebanon and Strait of Hormuz. Forget about the least agreeable part, which is the enriched uranium part. We can't even agree on not including Lebanon or not, or opening the Strait of Hormuz or not. And this is not even the most difficult part. The most difficult part is the enriched uranium.
And U.S. officials have said the movement of thousands of Marines and ground forces to the Middle East will continue despite ceasefire.
I think that's to send them a message, or maybe take one of the islands. They're not going to take mainland.
Okay.
Not happening.
Okay.
Oh
So
my
what
gosh.
has changed
Oh, look at
Oh,
this.
this part's
Oh,
funny.
what is this?
See the surrender flag, and that's the guy that's supposed to be in a coma and lost his leg. They're making fun of
This
him.
came up on my feed. What?
Oh my God. He's holding the flag. He's like, sorry.
Stuff he can do with AI, I tell you.
That's like that's an Arab account. That's actually really funny.
Yeah. Guys, we have so many Arabs from around the Persian Gulf who are supporting the Iranian people. Like, we see you, by the way. I really appreciate you guys.
They're fantastic. This guy's pretty funny. That guy's pretty funny. Okay, so now,
somebody saying
Armin, now they're confirming that, like, remember how I said they're slowly bringing up the numbers? So now, like, Fox News is now apparently reporting this. So let me just share this really quickly.
January. If those same people were involved in the fierce anti-regime protesting, their own leaders would likely have shot them dead or publicly executed them. Iran has carried out a string of recent executions on alleged protesters, even in the day.
Oh, that's more expensive than me, John. We went to BJ's and got it for $3.88, but there is places over $4 here. Wow, that's I'm surprised being in Texas it would be that much.
Days and hours leading up to the ceasefire, we were covering it coming out of this weekend. Some estimates say the regime has killed more than 40,000 in connection with the unrest.
Way more.
January. If those same people.
I'm glad that at least mainstream media is speaking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other thing really quick is airstrikes hit regime targets moments ago in Isfahan and Karaj. So not only are there boom booms in Tehran, there's also boom booms happening in Isfahan and Karaj. So again, literally like the least ceasefire of all the ceasefires I've ever experienced.
Yes. Oh.
They're laughing because of all the factions that are killing each other now over there.
I have one video of a regime supporter being very disappointed. Majid Nouri, Pesara Hamid Nouri. Oh, look at this, Goldie, here. So this is a confirmation by an important regime supporter. Like, this guy is famous. So let me translate. So Majid Nouri, son of Hamid Nouri, who was sentenced to life imprisonment in Sweden for his role in the 1988 executions, like in Iran, he is in Iran, referring to the streets presence of regime supporters in backing attacks on American and Israeli positions, says in a video that supporters of the Islamic Republic are shocked by the 2-week ceasefire. So this is a confirmation by somebody famous.
اینجا الان میدان انقلاب تقریبا از ساعت 3 صبح بعد از اینکه قرار اعلام شد اینجا بین مردم بحث‌ها و جدل‌های
Ooh, بحث‌ها و جدل‌ها. Guys, this is a huge confirmation. It's saying like this is Maidan Enqilab, like Enqilab Square in Iran.
انقلاب تقریبا از ساعت 3 صبح
like from 3 a.m. till now.
بعد از اینکه قرار اعلام شد اینجا بین مردم
When they give the news to the ceasefire, like here among the people, there are like debates and disagreements here. People are fighting against each other here.
هنوز دارن گروه صحبت میکنن.
Like everybody's speaking, like everybody's speaking about what just happened.
بحث‌های خیلی خوبی بین مردم شکل.
Like we have good discussions.
اکثرا شوکه ناراحت.
However, he said we have good discussions, but however, most people here are shocked and upset. They're saying, however, most people are shocked.
I can't get over
upset.
to Twitch right now.
Like they're saying that we were here for 40 nights, like we were in the streets for 40 nights, and we were expecting. We weren't expecting this.
Someone asked, why is Iran International communicating with these people of internet? They're not communicating. They're basically taking videos from these people. So this person probably posted it on their social media site because they have access to internet. So Iran International is taking this and reporting on it. The Iran International is not communicating with these people.
Yeah, this is just they picked it from social media. This guy posted it on social media.
خیلی بحثا خوبه. الان میگم حدود 3-4 ساعته دارن گفتگو میکنن.
So Goldie, this confirms that President Trump's ceasefire is turning them against it. This is a visual representation of an internal. This will demotivate them. This will cause a huge rift between them. Like this is turning them against each other so much. And without any Ali Khamenei, because we have Princess of Pahlavi, when we have disagreements, Princess of Pahlavi puts a statement out there, and we all get on this aligned again, and the same, we get united again. But they had that with Ali Khamenei, and now they don't have that. And this so-called ceasefire is going to cause a major division among them. So this is working out really well, really well. We are more united. They're now more divided. This is working in our favor.
Absolutely. I mean, President Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and he's keeping these durkas, guessing. And yeah, it's divide and conquer.
Yes.
Divide and conquer.
And people don't understand how important this is, because people they look at missiles, aircraft as airstrike carriers, intercept.
Yeah, John, I used to go to a few Buc-ee's when we were traveling, and I used to coach in softball and stuff. We also used to go to something called Sheets with a Z on it, and it was real good too. I don't know if you guys have any of those. I definitely see a lot of those in PA.
This is how the Islamic Republic falls. The Islamic Republic falls when they get more divided and we are more united. That's how they fall. This is why the Islamic Republic's number one priority is
true, and they are really divided right now. They're actually killing each other.
Saving face among its own followers, because that's how they fall. If they lose that would be the end of them.
Absolutely. I haven't heard Pete Hegseth. I've only heard like a small clip, but I want to listen to that. Before I start that, I'm just going to quickly go through the super chats. So KP1139, Goldie, this is why I appreciate you and Tusi. Both of you understand that the truth happens no matter how we each would like things to go. You both keep it real or rare quality these days. Thank you so much. Armin is also, don't forget Armin. Armin also helps me keep it real. He is the best analysis.
It's Goldie and Tusi only.
Oh man, don't forget Armin, guys. Armin's the reason that Iran Revolution Live is as informative and entertaining as it is, because he brings the jokes, he brings the memes, but he also brings like the insider. Cyrus the Great. Congrats, Goldie, on reaching 200,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank you. Let's get it to 300,000 onward. We go. Bapish. Thank you. Yes, Bapish. And guys, please, everyone, make sure that you also. I don't think Trump took this ceasefire seriously. I agree. The ceasefire is just basically a ploy. I think it's just psychological warfare against the Islamic regime. I definitely agree with you on that, Julian Kane. Armin, how about you?
No, I completely agree. I think his number one was psychological warfare. If the ceasefire could have lasted a little bit, it would have been also a good opportunity to get a lot of oil out of the Persian Gulf to reduce the pressure to the markets before we go back to the military operations or a full surrender. But if the ceasefire ends early, it might not be that effective in that second. But yeah, mostly the division that we just showed you.
Pasikuska 2587 says marine traffic. Everyone can see if Hormuz is open. Thank you, guys. So yeah, check out marine traffic to see if the Strait of Hormuz is open. And then we have a comment from Ari Yeru.
Well, they're just saying they're going to shut it down, but that hasn't happened yet. But they're going to, they say. I don't know if they can orchestrate that, though.
Shalmi. I thought Trump changed the press room, but they are still so dumb. The truth is that journalists in general are not smart people.
Yeah, that's true.
But Goldie, I like the dumb questions because we need the answer to the dumb question. So I don't know. Like, I think like we should be like, let them ask the dumb questions so that the answer to dumb questions are out there. Like, no?
I know this is not a good part.
The dumb questions
yeah.
I know it's soon.
For sure. Navy Corps man. Do not listen to what they say at this time. I mean, that's a very good possibility and theory as well, because President Trump did already acknowledge that he tried to arm the Iranian freedom fighters. So you could possibly be very right in this. And like I said, I have a feeling there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than people think. And President Trump is just like basically he's just constantly posting to keep people distracted. It's almost as if for the last 24 hours, President Trump just wants people to focus on his Truth Social posts and nothing else. And I think it's been very, very effective in that sense as well. Heaton555 says, Magbar sausage car. Oh, he's referring to that video, I guess, when people were, it wasn't sausage car, it was sausage gar. But I guess it does kind of sound like sausage car. Oh my gosh. Aliani, hi Goldie and Armin, found your channel because of Tusi. Aw, Tusi's the greatest.
Oh.
I'm praying for the liberation. Oh, Javid Shah, I'm praying for the liberation of Iran. I don't know why people are always surprised every time Trump conducts negotiations the way he's done for 40 years. I agree. President Trump is really good at what he does. And it's like every time he does it, people just clutch their pearls and they have no idea what's going on.
That was another good
but
part.
There's a reason that he's a successful.
I think maybe you should do it because I only have like
That's okay. I'll just.
You know that the Islamic Republic knew that a missile hitting the USS Abraham Lincoln is not going to sink it or do anything else. So the fact that they were so desperately shooting so many missiles at the USS Abraham Lincoln for any of them to hit shows you how much
they wanted the propaganda desperately.
Saving face is important for the Islamic Republic among its followers. How desperately they need any news to show to their followers that they're winning, because again, this is strategic from their perspective, because if they don't feed the monster that they have created, which is their own supporters, they are going to lose. And that's why so many missiles went towards the USS Abraham Lincoln, but none of them hit. Not a single one of them hit.
With most significantly, in last night's wave of more than 800 strikes, still was far back.
Okay, that's insane. That's like historic.
About.
I'm proud of you, and I am deeply grateful for our intercepted
and the War Department.
Revolutionarily wonderful can happen.
All right, I got past that.
I mean, if you guys don't see that, I don't know what to tell you, because it just doesn't make sense. Can someone explain to me any other context or scenario where you have heard the phrase revolutionarily wonderful? Because I have never ever heard the phrase revolutionarily wonderful in my life.
Is that what he used in this? I didn't see it.
So I'm just like that, you know,
go a little further
he's
around.
hinting that there's a difference
movement of Iranian military
to the United States.
تهدیدات موشکی هستیم. جمهوری اسلامی از امارات خیلی از بمباران نپذیرفت اینها رو. تحریم‌های بین‌المللی برگشت علیه تحریم.
Includes oil facilities in Kuwait, power.
Oh, here we go. This next section's pretty good. It's a bit of Tusi. She plays it too. See if I can get there.
Come to you guys with some breaking news coming from the conflict in the Middle East. As you can tell, we're not actually in our normal home studio. We come to you guys live from the occupied city of Paris for the next couple of days. It happens to be my wife's birthday week. Apparently, we do birthday weeks from really heated, pun intended. We're going to give you guys the latest updates. First, we're going to talk about what happened. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have now broken their ceasefire in less than 24 hours. And this isn't about what they did last night. We, of course, gave you guys the live coverage from the moment the ceasefire started. And for the first 10 minutes, half an hour, we did have some missiles and drones. But today, more and more. But it doesn't stop here. The hardliners of the IRGC are now attacking the rest of the regime leadership for actually even agreeing to the ceasefire in the first place. They are now refusing to even begin the negotiations, which should technically start on Friday, the 10th of April. For now, the IRGC says we are not going to talk because the Israelis are hitting our IRGC Hezbollah wing in Lebanon. And of course, based on that, the Israeli Defense Forces have retaliated and continue to hit the Hezbollah positions in the south of Lebanon. All right, so all this is going to be a part of our live report. The attacks, we had this from Kuwait. Over the last 10 hours, the Kuwaiti armed forces have been dealing with a huge number of attacks involving over 40 suicide drones from Iran. The drones, part of their Shahid drone program, have been targeting the Kuwaiti civilians and the infrastructure. According to the AFP, that includes oil facilities in Kuwait, power plants, water treatment infrastructure, and residential areas. And as we speak, I literally also just spoke to my father, who is in Tehran, and the strikes have once again started in the capital of Iran. Let's go to the first video, which is obviously very dark, so it's mostly sound of explosions. Here we go. Meanwhile, we also have an update from the Emiratis. The United Arab Emirates, the Ministry of Defense, has now has been issuing a number of alerts throughout the day, confirming that their air defense systems are responding to missile threats coming from Iran, saying that our systems are currently responding to a missile threat. Please remain in a safe location and follow official channels for warnings and updates. Do not approach, touch, or photograph any fragments or objects that have fallen as a result of successful air interceptions, and allow the relevant authorities to assess the situation. Now, do not take photographs. That obviously applies to a lot of people in Dubai who continue to take selfies with these drone attacks and missiles. I'm not really sure what they're thinking, but that continues to happen. There seems to be a bit of a trend on Instagram and TikTok. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces have also launched an attack on an oil refinery in Iran. This is actually in one of the islands, one of the controversial islands near the Persian Gulf. I believe this is the Lavan island. The strikes hit the oil refinery. Watch this.
I thought UAI hit that. UI, whatever. Dubai. So what
also, as I said, obviously this ceasefire is extremely heated. And over the last hour or so, we have now received confirmation from the IRGC media that the Strait of Hormuz is once again closed. So it was open for about 6 hours, 9 hours, probably 9 hours.
Yeah, but I haven't seen that they have the capability of closing it right now.
They have now officially closed the Strait of Hormuz. Ceasefire day one of ceasefire, going absolutely normal. As I did mention on social media earlier, I said this ceasefire is becoming even more ridiculous and hilarious than when the Pakistanis somehow declared victory after getting hammered by the Indian army within hours. They were running around dancing, saying, "We just destroyed India. Great." But actually, they didn't, because they were the ones getting hammered, and not in a good way. All right, so let's go back to the Israeli Defense Forces as they continued their strikes on the IRGC Hezbollah wing.
Let me get to the
some of
he
them.
was talking about.
That's in front of the... I'll translate. Now we got the hardliners of the IRGC trying to bring down Mujtaba. I'll translate. We don't have subtitles. So this video is actually Esfahan saying protest against the ceasefire.
These protests are happening in the very hardcore areas. Not the whole country. There's some very hardcore areas.
Oh. It's in front of the city hall. Death to the compromiser.
They always want to kill people. Don't arrest them, this and that. Kill them.
Oh, now he was also attacking Arakshi, the foreign minister, threatening them, saying, we're going to come for all of you, including Abbas Arakshi. Yeah, do you remember the first few hours of last night when the ceasefire was announced and the IRGC media were going around with the help of course, the anti-war nutters in the West, saying, we are celebrating. The Islamic Republic has won against the Americans. Everybody's happy in Iran. We're all dancing and not getting drunk because we don't drink alcohol because we're a bunch of losers. But we are dancing for no reason. All that's gone because these guys have now come out to bring down the whole of the regime from within. Let's go back to the Israeli Defense Forces continuing to hit the Islamists. Religion of pieces.
Pieces.
It's fascinating because one big problem that has been happening over the last few hours is actually about people in Iran. The first few hours since last night, a lot of people were panicking because the regime in Iran told them that President Trump has agreed to basically concede defeat to the IRGC. We have won. He has agreed to our 10-point plan.
Yeah, I seen some clips where it was translated. What they were saying on their Iranian TV was, that Trump was begging them and this and that, and came to him, oh, let's make a deal. We'll give you money, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you can keep your nuclear material, all this kind of stuff. That's what they're putting out on the TVs because they've sunk so many ships and airplanes, and they've got hundreds of airplanes they've taken down supposedly.
And the Americans are now withdrawing from the Middle East and everything else, and Israel has been wiped out. The reason they could do that is because they've shut down the internet. Nobody has internet. There's a few people who have access via Starlink, but they are cut off from the outside world. The problem with this is that the regime didn't realize that the word of mouth works very, very quickly in Iran. There's still a huge chunk of people who have access to satellite TV and channels like Iran International. When I was speaking to my dad, literally half an hour ago before we came live, he was saying that people in Iran started questioning the whole thing after a couple of hours last night because they said, hang on, you were telling us that the regime had won. Then why are you not turning on the internet? Why is everything still off? Why is everything closed? Why is there martial law across the country? They realized, ow, hang on. That was a bit of a lie, unless you are listening to Tucker Carlson. A couple of things to mention. The Kuwaiti Defense Ministry have now confirmed that 3 power stations and water plants have now been attacked, and it resulted in severe damages to the infrastructure in Kuwait. We also have this from the chief negotiator of the United States, Steve Witkoff. His reaction to the proposal to the ceasefire, the whole saga since last night, he reacted furiously to the IRGC's...
Tammy, that's exactly what I'm thinking. They'll say anything. They'll lie. I'll even write that. To get what they want. I agree, Tammy. Totally. That's a good comment. I'll put them up on the screen.
10-point proposal. He called it a disaster, a catastrophe. And if he followed it by describing it as a
Can't trust 'em.
chaotic day. Pakistan apparently messed up here. Who would have thought, by the way? Literally, everybody thought that Pakistan are very, very competent, very smart people, very truthful people. So essentially what happened was Pakistanis were...
But he does, Trump was able to get him, they're really starting to fight each other already. Give it a few days and these factions will divide even more.
Trying to mediate between the Americans and the Islamic Republic. What they decided to do was to keep running between the two sides, providing briefs and drafts of proposals from each to the other one. Now, the IRGC, because they had like 2, 3 different groups trying to negotiate separately without communicating with each other, the Pakistanis apparently gave the wrong proposal, and then they gave the wrong draft from the Americans to the Islamic Republic. They got them to sign it, and now they're saying, oh, actually, we might have messed up here. So the IRGC have now come up with a whole new list of a draft that was never actually agreed on by the Americans. And that's why Witkoff, initially, when he saw the crazy Tim.
The other thing is on their TV, the stations over there, the ones they are putting out, the only thing they can get is government-run TV. They're lying on that, what they're saying on that. It's what the agreements are. We're supposed to give them all these billions of dollars and everything. That's not going to happen.
Point plan. Again, if you've missed it, we're going to go through the lists of both the Americans and the IRGC. Steve Witkoff said, well, this is crazy. Nobody's going to agree to this.
All these billions of dollars is supposed to be given them so they don't come here and take over America is what their plan is. A lot of these nutcakes believe they're going to take over America.
Nobody. But the IRGC announced that this is the list that they agreed on. They had to also get Egypt and Turkey. As you can see, all the very competent and truthful countries have been involved. Pakistan, Turkey, and Egypt. Very morally high, superior countries getting involved. And China also were trying to put pressure on the Islamic Republic to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is now apparently closed again. Before we go to the list of the drafts that were very, very different.
Actually, dealing with Egypt government-wise and stuff like that, they've been more honest than Israel, actually, 100% in terms of getting information, turning it over about these extremists and this and that. You can't get it out of Israel as well when you tell them stuff. Egypt, people I've dealt with, has been better.
Let's go to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, who's sent out an urgent message to the people inside Iran, saying that obviously right now, he correctly said, it's not the right time to take to the streets. Just be patient. It's still chaotic.
Yeah, John, with the invasion, that's the way they're going to do it. The invasion of letting illegals into our country and birthrights.
The only time that you can actually see a situation where the people in Iran can take action is after the military action, after the war. Not now. We're still in the middle of it. You're supposed to have technically a 2-week pause, which so far is not going too well.
He's talking about the people rising up, about taking over their government.
Let's wait till Friday, because that's when they are supposed to be starting negotiations. Not really sure how that's going to go. But the war hasn't ended yet, so don't take to the streets. Just be patient. You will know when you have to go out. Let's go to the Crown Prince.
You're not going to be able to understand them.
An hour ago, over 94 drones and 23 missiles were launched today by the IRGC towards only the Arab states. So we're not even counting everything that they have been launching towards Israel. Kuwait faced 28 drones, some of them hitting the oil facilities, the power plants, and water. The United Arab Emirates intercepted at least 17 missiles, 35 drones.
See, they don't have control of their country. It's the different factions that are fighting each other and doing this.
And a gas complex, the Habshan gas complex in the UAE, was also struck by the debris of one of the missiles. 3 people in the United Arab Emirates have been injured. Bahrain was also targeted. I forgot to put that on the map, actually. 6 missiles and 31 drones over the last few hours have been hitting residential areas, a couple of homes in Sitra, in Bahrain have been damaged, extremely damaged. Also, the issue with the IRGC negotiating with the
I had that earlier. I couldn't see Marianne's comment for a while, and then I refreshed the page and it came up. It came up later. It's like stalled quite a bit, John.
Americans is getting confusing, not for us. I mean, it's confusing for everybody. It's confusing for the IRGC because the Speaker of Parliament in Iran,
this one, John,
Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, has now said that
I can see it on one of
any bilateral ceasefire or even negotiations that's supposed to be on Friday are currently unreasonable in this current situation. So, according to Ghalibaf, as of now, we should not expect the Islamic Republic delegation to even begin the talks. Of course, I think they're trying to do what President Trump does, which is show outrage and go crazy, and then actually at the end of the day go back to the negotiating table. I think they're going to do that because they have no other option. Friday, they have to talk. Even if they want to stall, even if they want to buy some time, it doesn't matter. They have to go. Otherwise, it's going to.
What I was worrying about last night, especially, is if they buy time, is they'll be able to restock and load up and all that with weapons. But they just kept shooting weapons. It turns out the different factions didn't agree with each other, and they're fighting each other on which way to go on this.
Be boom boom.
Hey, Kurt.
Like today. Now, let me give you guys the difference between the draft proposal that the Americans gave the Islamic Republic and the draft that the IRGC have given to the Americans, allegedly, because these are two different lists. One of them is 15, it has 15 points. The other one has 10, right? Let's start with the Americans. 15 demands. And I'm going to go one by one, how likely it is for the IRGC to accept them or not. Number one, dismantle all major nuclear facilities. It's semi-likely, difficult. End all uranium enrichment on Iranian soil. Again, out of desperation, semi-likely. Transfer enriched uranium stockpile out of Iran. If they agree to the second one, obviously they'll do that too. Accept international inspections everywhere. Tricky. They might say yes. Permanently, obviously, end any nuclear weapons program. They would agree, but with words, but they're going to continue anyway. Suspend ballistic missile development.
In other words, they're going to lie.
They're not going to agree to that. It's unlikely. Stop production of long-range missiles. They're not going to agree to that. End drone transfers and military exports to proxies. That's never going to happen. Cut support to Hezbollah.
All the, proxies around the world, really.
Yeah, right. Cut support to Hamas. Cut support to the Iraqi Shia militias. End weapons transfers to the Houthis. Not going to happen. Fully reopen and secure the Strait of Hormuz. Now, obviously, they will say yes, but then they want to have a transit fee, basically. Create a toll. Stop threatening regional shipping and...
Yeah, they want $1 million for every ship that goes through there. These durka guys. $1 million for every ship. You know where they can go with that? They can pee it up the rope. For every ship that goes through. And that's both directions, coming in and going out. So it's $2 million.
Gulf states, yeah, they will agree to that. Accept a broader and regional de-escalation framework, including limits on military escalation with Israel. They could agree to that because they'll just go back to rhetoric, saying death to Israel. But they would say, well, we're not actually going to create death for Israel. We're just saying it. It's just banter, guys. That's the American side. It's very difficult for the Islamic Republic to say yes to all those points. Now, these are the 10 demands from the Islamic Republic that they claim that President Trump has agreed to.
Well, they will, maybe, and lie.
But he hasn't. None of this makes sense, by the way.
Their game is really to stall. They're going to try to stall and survive, and stay in power.
Number one, a binding guarantee, some of them are repeated before, that the US and allies will not strike Iran again. That's literally part of any ceasefire. A permanent end to hostilities, not just a temporary ceasefire. That's the whole point of negotiations, you idiots. An end to Israeli strikes on Hezbollah in Lebanon. That's not going to stop. full lifting of all U.S. sanctions. Yeah, not going to happen. Some sanctions could be relieved, but not all of it.
Yeah, they are.
Protection for Iran's
I agree with
regional
that.
proxies and allied militias.
I agree with that, Kurd.
No, that's literally on the list for the Americans, for you guys to agree on. Reopening the Strait of Hormuz under the IRGC conditions. Not going to happen. A transit fee around $2 million per ship shared with Oman. The Americans have said, if you're going to have any sort of transit fee, we want to be involved. So that's not going to happen. Compensation and reparations to the Islamic Republic.
Good luck with that one.
And reconstruction finances to help with the damages in Iran. Recognition of Iran's regional security interests.
Sometimes refreshing the page helps.
That's just a vague sentence. That means absolutely nothing. A broader framework for long-term negotiations without immediate surrender of core strategic capabilities. That was literally taken from ChatGPT. They don't even know what that means. It's just vague. Yeah, that just makes no sense. So definitely the proposals from Iran, that's not going to be accepted by anybody. Even if they were negotiating with Pakistan, that's not going to happen. But having said that, I think we now have a quick update for you guys. Breaking news. The Secretary General of Hezbollah, the leader of Hezbollah, Naim Qassam, was targeted earlier tonight. According to Hezbollah, he is still alive. Having said that, we can now confirm that, according to the Israelis, this man is now gone. This is Fadel Abbas Naim, who was the right-hand man to the Secretary General of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, Naim Qassam. He has been eliminated, according to the Israeli Defense Forces sources. We will obviously get that verified if at some point Hezbollah decide to confirm.
Your sacrifice and your cries for liberty continue to be seen and heard.
Oh, she's
they
talking
will
about
not go
on
normal issues of public policy. It actually affects peace and war. And here's what I mean. So in the past couple of days, I've seen a lot of reporting from the American media about the 10-point proposal that the Iranians have made. Now, as I know, because I've been involved in this, there are 3 different 10-point proposals, at least, that I've seen floating around. The first 10-point proposal was something that was submitted, and we think, frankly, was probably written by ChatGPT, that was submitted to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. That immediately went in the garbage and was rejected. There was a second 10-point proposal that was much more reasonable, that was based on some back and forth between us, between the Pakistanis.
In the long run, it's going to be.
That is the 10-point proposal that the president was referencing in his truth yesterday. And then, frankly, I've seen a third 10-point proposal that's even more maximalist than the first 10-point proposal that's been floating around various social media channels. Here's what's interesting about all this is that I've seen various organs, the New York Times, CNN, others, pick up and run the original 10-point proposal based on little more than a random Yahoo in Iran submitting it to public access television in the country of Iran, and then them saying that somehow represents the negotiating position of the government. It's the equivalent of somebody in, let's say, a Democratic councilman in Boise, Idaho, saying something crazy, the local public access TV picking up that crazy.
Okay, so there's another post. Oh, okay, you know what? Maybe I can find the full thing on, what is it, Live Now.
I'm going to go right up till 7, okay, everybody?
Let's see if we can find JD Vance. When would that have been? Does anyone? Oh, okay, I found it. Okay, awesome. So I found the full thing on Fox News Live. Oh, here we go.
I'd like QT.
Okay. So we can watch the full thing on Fox News Live right now.
Appreciate you for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Unfortunately, we have to stop this conversation a bit short as Vice President J.D. Vance just stepped up to the microphone speaking about the Iranian ceasefire. Let's listen in while he's overseas.
You know, propaganda going on.
She lost her sound.
We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand,
Eastern.
When I get on the plane, have actually offered to be,
Kurt.
frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful. That's not because
in about 6 minutes. I know VV comes on.
The Israelis trying to set up.
I try not to overlap anyone else.
And we'll of course see how that unfolds in the next few days. But look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered,
what is QT
over
anyways?
Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them, and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb, but that's their choice.
I don't know if
you have an expectation when that
say an abbreviation of the name?
Well, we've already seen an increase in traffic today. Hopefully we'll see an increase in traffic tomorrow. We actually think that we are seeing signs that the Straits is starting to reopen. I think you guys have probably seen oil prices have come down. So I think the oil markets, the gas markets are seeing the same thing. But the president's very, very clear. The deal is a ceasefire.
It's going to take a little while to get the supply back up there. So
fire, a negotiation, that's what we give. And what they give is the Straits are going to be reopened. If we don't see that happening, the president is not going to abide by our terms if the Iranians are not abiding by their terms.
Carol Levitt said you played a key role in these talks. Could you help understand some details about that role? And do you think your well-known opposition to foreign wars generally was a factor that made you a key player in this?
Well, I appreciate Carolyn saying that. I mean, you know, my key role was I sat on the phone a lot. I answered a lot of phone calls. I made a lot of phone calls. And again, I'm happy about where we are. I think the president has struck a good deal for the American people.
Smell
but
the difference, huh?
The Iranians have got to take the next step, or the president has a lot of options to go back to the war.
Do you know if Iranians requested that you join the talks?
I don't know that. I would be surprised if that was true. But, you know, I wanted to be involved because I thought I could make a difference. And obviously, I think the people really on the ground doing the day-to-day negotiating have been Steve and Jared. They've done a great job. But we're going to keep on working this as a team,
I think
as we always have. You know, Pete's been very helpful with the various military elements of this. Marco's obviously been extremely involved.
I think when
we work as a team, we work effectively. And
when we played out in Chicago, we had seen a couple quick trips.
And, you know, yeah, I've been on the phone a lot the past couple of days, but we're glad to be where we are.
Mr. Vice President, how is the United States accomplishing its stated objective of ensuring Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon ever if they still have highly enriched uranium? And what's the plan to get the uranium out?
Well, look, I mean, this is one of the things, it's going to be one of the main subjects of negotiation is that we want Iran to not be able to make a nuclear weapon. We want the nuclear fuel, which is something the president has made very clear. And there's, again,
it might take a little while before some of these ships' trusts going through there just yet.
The way to think about this is the United States has certain demands and certain things that we want. The Iranians have things they can get out of the negotiation. The more that they're willing to give us, I think the more they're going to get things out of this negotiation. The president's talked about sanctions relief. The president's talked about economic partnerships and things like that. That's not going to happen unless the Iranians make a firm commitment to stop anything close to the development of a nuclear weapon. And frankly, the president has all the cards here. We've got a lot of leverage. We got a lot of things that we can do.
Don't trust them, though. You got to verify that they're not doing it. So that requires inspectors going in.
But right now, I think...
And many other spy-type stuff on them, basically.
We're in a good spot.
Is the to wipe Iranian civilization off the map still on the table? And is it fair to keep 90 million Iranians under that threat for the actions of their leaders?
Well, look, the leadership is really to blame for the condition of the country in Iran. The president of the United States has made very clear that the United States has a lot of leverage here. We have economic leverage. We've got military leverage. What he's trying to do is make sure the American people are safe and strike a deal that's good for the American people. I encourage the Iranians to come to the table seriously. We've seen some signs that they're going to do that. We've seen some signs of bravado. fundamentally, we're in a good spot. They're reopening the straits.
I think they might be shot if they do.
We have a ceasefire, and frankly, if they break their end of the bargain, then they're going to see some serious consequences.
But wiping them off the map is different than an economic leverage or military leverage. Why is that kind of language useful in this kind of scenario?
Well, again, the president of the United States is saying that unless the Iranians do the right thing, he is going to have some serious consequences for the regime. We obviously don't want the people of Iran to suffer, but we have a lot of leverage the president of the United States could use, and it's why I think it's so important for the Iranians to be negotiators in good faith.
Okay, buzz the last couple of days
more
of the Free
questions.
Press
I might go
story
a little tiny
saying
bit
that
past
senior
7.
Pentagon officials in January, including Rich Colby, brought Cardinal Pierre into the Pentagon.
Brought who?
Cardinal Christophe Pierre
Okay.
into the Pentagon.
I haven't seen the story,
Okay, well,
unfortunately.
and essentially the reporting by the Free Press is that they told him that the American military has a lot of might and they can do whatever they want, and the church should get on its side. Does that message sound correct to you? Is that something you would sign off on?
So one, I with no disrespect to the Cardinal, I don't know who Cardinal Christophe Pierre is.
He's the ambassador to the Holy See and the U.S.
Oh, okay. I do. I've met him before. Sorry, I just didn't remember the name. I've never seen this reporting. I'd like to actually talk to Cardinal Christophe Pierre and, frankly, to our people to figure out what actually happened. I think it's always a bad idea to offer an opinion on stories that are unconfirmed and uncorroborated, so I'm not going to do that.
Mr. Arthur, on the question of Iran's enriched uranium, see a scenario in which the administration may be willing to agree to allow Iran to continue enriching uranium for civilian nuclear?
Me too, John. I get a ton of messages I got to go through after I get done here.
Purposes?
Well, look, what the president has said
I'll go a couple
that
more questions.
We don't want Iran to have the capacity to build a nuclear weapon. The president's also said that we don't want Iran enriching towards a nuclear weapon, and we want Iran to give up the nuclear fuel. Those are going to be our demands during the negotiation. And again, we're going to see what the Iranians are willing to give up. If they make a good faith effort to actually give us the things that we need to have a successful negotiation for the security of the American people, I think there's a lot on the other end. If they don't give us what we need, then I think it's going to be bad. But I'm optimistic that the Iranians are going to be smart, that they're going to negotiate in good faith.
And your negotiating partner in Iran, I know Kevin sort of asked about this already, but he essentially is saying that they're distrustful of the U.S. for, he tweeted out that 3 of the 10 points in the ceasefire framework have already been distrustful of the U.S. What do you make of him tweeting that out before negotiations?
So I thought it was interesting, actually, because I did see that tweet from Ghalibaf actually just a couple of minutes ago. And let me say a few things. First of all, he said that there are a few points of disagreement before the negotiation. Well, that must mean that there's a lot of points of agreement because there's a 15-point plan floating around. There's a 10-point plan floating around. If he's frustrated about 3 issues, that actually means that there's a lot of agreement. That's point number 1. Point number 2.
You do this all the time. It's possible to get burnout.
To respond to each of those issues, and I read it very closely. Let me just say this. I actually wonder how good he is at understanding English, because there are things that he said that frankly didn't make sense in the context of the negotiations that we've had. But to address the 3 points, first of all, he talked about an attack that had allegedly happened on Iran and how that was a violation.
They don't want
of
to give up their goats.
Ceasefires are always messy. An hour after the president announced the ceasefire, the Iranians launched a bunch of missiles. Then the Israelis responded. Then some of the Gulf Arab states responded. This is the nature of a ceasefire. No ceasefire ever goes without a little bit of choppiness. What we have been very clear about is that we want to stop the bombing. We want our allies to stop the bombing. And we want the Iranians to do the same thing. We're seeing evidence that things are going in the right direction, but it's going to take a little time. The second thing Ghalibaf said, which again I found fascinating, is he said, we refuse to give up the right to enrichment. And I thought to myself, you know what? My wife has the right to skydive, but she doesn't jump out of an airplane because she and I have an agreement that she's not going to do that because I don't want my wife jumping out of an airplane. We don't really concern ourselves with what they claim they have the right to do. We concern ourselves with what they actually do. And I think the president's been very clear on the enrichment question. Our position on that has not changed. I think the third thing that he said was Lebanon. Okay. And again, I actually think that is a reasonable misunderstanding but neither us nor the Israelis said that was going to be part of the ceasefire. Again, we're working with people to try to get through some of these things, but it's really fundamentally
a lot of good stuff
we're on the right
there,
track. We got a lot more to do.
We're gonna let it go. I'm gonna end it there. Okay, so BV can come on and all that. We don't overlap too much. All right, take care. God bless. I should be back on tomorrow. We'll see what's going on. I got a lot of clips I haven't played because of all this going on. So I'll probably do a lot of the backlog of that, but not for sure. We'll see. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless everyone.